must thank you for agreeing to be a part of our training and learning process. I think the lockdown has been good for all of us in this respect because we have been able to learn a lot. And fortunately, all of you as doctors have supported the whole thing. So, really big thank you to you. To introduce Dr. Jalali, Professor Rakesh Jalali is the medical director of India's and South Asia's first proton therapy facility, Apollo Proton Cancer Center, leading its clinical care administration. Professor Jalali is widely recognized globally for his contributions in neuro-oncology, particularly for high precision radiotherapy and enhancing quality of life for cancer patients, along with various other aspects of cancer care. It is to his credit and foresight that the neuro-oncology group at TMH, which is Tata Memorial Hospital, which he developed, is hailed as the finest such unit in India and recognized through the world. He was also instrumental in establishing the Indian Society of Neuro-Oncology in 2008, serving as its founding general secretary, then its president, and now chairing its senior advisory council. He has led and mentored various cancer initiatives globally, including in Asia Pacific and African regions. Professor Jalali is also known for his commitment to promoting equitable cancer care for patient population from diverse backgrounds. He was instrumental in shaping up the Brain Tumor Foundation of India, an internationally recognized charity dedicated to the welfare of the patients with brain tumors and their families, as well as conducting patient support meetings for cancer patients and caregivers. I would also like to add that he's been a friend and supporter of VCare for a long, long time. And we just had to pick up the phone and ask him for anything when we needed help. And Dr. Jalali was always there. So to make it easy for myself and also for Dr. Jalali, we'll ask him to explain to us everything that we want to know about proton therapy. I won't disturb you while you're talking. So you can please have your presentation for about 45 minutes or 50 minutes, followed by question answers, which we get. As we get, we will inform you at the end of the session. So please write your questions, keep sending them on the chat box, and we will have all the answers by Dr. Jalali. He has promised not to leave from here without giving answers to all our questions. Thank you, Dr. Jalali, and over to you.
Thank you. I'm just sharing my screen. Can someone allow me to share my screen, please?
Ankita?
They have to disable, yeah. They have to enable for me to share the screen.
Yeah.
So by the time she's doing it, Dr. Jalali, would you like to say something?
Actually, it has come now. I'll just start.
Okay.
I hope you can see the slides.
Yes, it's visible.
Perfect.
Can you make them big? Okay.
At the outset, I would like to pay my gratitude to Vandana, who I know for now, I think 20 years or so, and VCare. And it's my honor and pleasure to be part of this session, especially it's being live on the Facebook. I know the tremendous support Vandana as well as VCare, all of you have been providing to the needy cancer patients during my 18 long years stint in Tata Memorial. And the passion and the dedication, and also as a very important, it's not only the support, what was relatively lacking in our country was the patient advocacy. And to represent as a patient advocacy is absolutely critical in all illnesses, and no better than perhaps needed in oncology. So again, VCare and Vandana have been the torch bearers of the country in that sense. And again, it's great pleasure to be here, and I would like to thank her also for asking me to participate in this session. So today I'm going to talk on proton therapy, which is kind of a relatively new thing in our country, but increasingly being explored in different parts of the world. and it's a little bit scientific, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible. मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में भी बीच में बात करूंगा ताकि सब लोगों को कनेक्ट हो जाए, both English and Hindi, और बाद में फिर question answer we can do. As all of us know, the first slide is the increasing burden of cancer. Now, what is happening is by the World Health Organization, and we have this data which comes every year or every few years, GloboCan, which is the incidence of cancer everywhere. So previously we were thinking cancer is largely a problem of the West, but now all of us know that 65 to even 75% of the cancer cases are actually in the lower middle income countries. And until few years ago, cancer was not the commonest cause of death globally. It is already the commonest cause of death in several high income countries. It has overtaken cardiovascular disease as the commonest cause of cancer of death. लेकिन सबसे बड़ी हमारे लिए जो challenge है हमारे countries में, India and the similar countries, is कि it may actually also become among the top killers in our country and in our region also. And that is a very sobering thought. And that is why we have to be very, very careful about what we do. And there are several reasons for it. That is not the aim of today's presentation, whether it is aging, whether it is the lifestyle, whether it is the environmental factors, whether it is smoking, pollution, family history, so on and so forth. But we cannot hide away from the fact that there is an epidemiological transition, what we call non-communicable diseases, which includes cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and thoda zyada urban population. And I think next slide will tell you. So anytime, we get about 15 to 17 lakh new cancer cases. And until few years ago, cancer was not actually among the 10 top leading causes of death in India, but now it is. At any point of time, what is called prevalence, जो नए केस हैं और जो पुराने cases भी हैं, जो बिल्कुल अभी ठीक भी हो गए हैं या on follow up, that figure is anywhere between 25 to 30 lakhs. And this is relatively conservative estimate. It can be more. And you can see from this graph, number of new cancer cases in men and women, how they are increasing over a period of time. And by the year 2035, काफी case हो जाएंगे अपने यहाँ. And very interesting statistics which we know is कि urban cancer registries like Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata, the incidence can be anywhere between 120, 130 also per 100,000 population per year. 1 lakh population में national average is about 98 to 100. But urban cancer registries में it can be anywhere between 120, 140, 150. और अगर आप rural registry में जाइए तब it is only 40 to 55. Which obviously shows that there is something in the urban that related to obesity, to lifestyle, to pollution, to diet. जैसे मैंने बताया, about 40 to 60% of the cancers can be related to lifestyle. And unfortunately, क्या हो रहा है इंडिया में अभी, there is a lot of urbanization happening. Even the villages are looking like cities only now because of the rapid development. While in a way it is good to some extent, but also it comes with a price. And अगर आप US लेंगे, in US the incidence of cancer is anywhere between 250 to 350 per 100,000. हमसे भी ज़्यादा है वहाँ पर, and that is because of one is the age, because the life expectancy is more. The more you age, the more risk is there, and also because of the other lifestyle factors which I just mentioned to you. However, at any point of time, we used to always say 5-year survival. All of you must be also knowing जो भी हम studies करते हैं या we do the data collection, analyze, we always say 5-year survival. But now we know many cancers can be completely curable and many of them can survive. Abhi recently there was some data on it that about half of the cancer patients can survive actually more than 10 years. That doesn't mean 10 years, more than 10 years. And it can be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. So that is one important thing that is largely from the West. It is not so great, unfortunately, in India, because we still get a relatively late stage disease because of many factors, which all of us know. But still, many of these patients, in India also, we have many cancer survivors. लेकिन एक नई चीज और निकल आ रही है in our field, what is called survivorship. So this was a study done in the US, childhood cancer survivor study बोलते हैं, जिसमें 10,000 children, because childhood cancers are curable in large extent. So although they were cured for 20 years, 30 years also, we found out that 60% of them had at least one chronic medical issue. या तो हार्ट की प्रॉब्लम थी या ग्रोथ नहीं हो रही थी बराबर से. There were some issues always. And about 27% could be even severe. So that is very important. So the focus in the last, particularly in the last 15, 20 years, is that it is not enough to cure a cancer patient. It is equally, if not more important, to have quality of cure very good. And that has been very close to my heart also, because the cancers I treat, I see a lot of children. I treat brain tumors, and I used to treat breast cancer. So अभी क्या है कि in all these things, cardiovascular disease, organ preservation, limb salvage, the ability to speak, chew, swallow, gait, activities of daily living, they are also very important, and they have to be put in the treatment algorithm and paradigm right at the beginning. नहीं तो फिर होगा नहीं आगे जाके. So this is very, very important. And all of the oncology teams, and to some extent patient advocates, have actually played a big part. That's not only to cure the cancer, but it's also to see how well the patient is and how well they are integrated into normal society. So isko kaise karenge? Number one, surgery has become better, because as you know, there are three main treatments of cancer surgery. Many days, as many of you know, we do genetic molecular testing of the tissue sample to see the unique signature. We call it molecular signature, because each cancer is different, each site is different. So you can give personalized approach. You don't need to give same kind of chemo or same kind of targeted therapy or same kind of radiation or even same kind of surgery to every single patient, even if it is a breast cancer or colon cancer or head and neck cancer or a brain tumor. So that is called personalized approach, and immuno-oncology has made a big role in the last few years also in this. That can be a separate topic. And of course, radiation has also become much, much better, and I'll speak on proton. Essentially, we have to achieve this beautiful balance between long-term cure and survival, which is our number one endpoint, of course, no doubt about it. But equally, as I said, important is what is called high-quality survivorship, that you should not have any side effects of the treatment long-term. You should not have any problems because of the tumor long-term, such that you can function as normally in the society as anyone else you deserve. And that has been the focus of many of us, including, myself. I'm very passionate about it. Now, because we have to talk about proton, so radiation therapy, as many of you know, is a very integral component in cancer care. These are the three pillars of treatment: surgery, radiation, and systemic therapy, which can be chemotherapy or targeted therapy or immunotherapy. So the radiation is a very local type of treatment, like surgery. The advantage of radiation is that wherever you cannot operate, it can treat that area also. Or even if you operate, you may leave some tissue cells behind, you can give radiation. Or if you have to operate, but you remove the larynx such that your voice is not there, or tongue, many parts of the brain, breast, for example, we don't do mastectomy these days. We just remove only the lump in many patients. And with radiation only, it is possible, because you have to give radiation to sterilize the rest of the microscopic cancer cells in the breast, and therefore you can save the breast. It has been estimated about 60 to 70% of the patients receive radiation, radical form, and sometimes you have to do, of course, palliative therapy, either alone or in combination with all these therapies. Radiation historically has been very technical, because it started in 1895 when X-ray was discovered, and Madame Curie discovered radioactivity. Then we had the cobalt therapy units, then we get linear accelerators, then we put computers, because on the computer we can do the planning. Planning means, for example, orange is, this is the tumor, but this is the spinal cord, this is the voice box, these are the eyes, these are the rest of the brain. So you put your radiation in such a way that you treat only the tumor and try to preserve the normal function. And that has been the main focus of radiation therapy. And there has been a tremendous amount of technological movement in the conventional radiation also. Conventional radiation is given by X-rays, or they are called photons, not protons, photons, and they travel with the speed of light. They are neutral charge and they are electromagnetic. These are technical things, you don't need to know so much. But even in the conventional radiation, the treatment these days is called IMRT or IGRT, which many of you may be aware also, intensity modulated radiotherapy and image guided radiotherapy, because you can see every day on the treatment where you are giving the treatment You can do X-rays and CT scans, and then you deliver the radiation in such a way that you really deliver where you have to do, not affecting the normal tissue, which when I was a student like 30 years ago, we didn't have all these fancy equipment, and we were trying to give radiation, but we really, many times we didn't know where we are giving radiation. So there has been a tremendous, tremendous evolution over a period of time as far as conventional radiation is concerned. However, there has been a lot of new technology, as I mentioned. So fortunately, India is very tech savvy. We are very technical oriented in all fields, whether it is computer, IT, telephones, mobile phone. देख लीजिए, हर एक के पास smartphone है आजकल. इसी तरह से radiation also, we were among the first ones in the world. For example, there is a machine called Gamma Knife which does radio surgery. There is brachytherapy where radiation is given locally. Stereotactic radiotherapy, which kind of I introduced in Tata. Then we have the tomotherapy. We have the cyber knife, where Apollo was the first one to introduce cyber knife in India. And now again, we have the proton therapy, which is already in Apollo, and Tata Memorial will have this year again as well, hopefully. We'll talk about proton. I will take a minute on this slide. So what happens was, proton that way is not new. Proton was discovered in 1940s by a guy called Robert Wilson. वो यहाँ पर उसकी photo भी है लगाई हुई. So what he discovered was that it was a positive charge as compared to conventional X-rays or photons or IMRT, IGRT, even gamma knife, cyber knife. They use X-rays. So when they enter the tissue, they will give you some dose and then they will kind of taper off. And then there will be always some exit dose at the end of the treatment. Suppose the tumor is here, so it will treat the tumor, but it will also give some dose to the surrounding structures. Proton में क्या होता है कि it starts little bit lesser dose at the entry also as compared to X-ray. But since it is a positive charge and it is a light charge, it's not very heavy. After a certain distance from the tissue, from when it enters the body, say for example 10, 15, 20 centimeters, at one point it will give you all its energy or intensity, और उसको बोलते हैं Bragg peak, and William Bragg got the Nobel Prize for that. उसमें क्या होता है कि सारी की सारी ionizing radiation capability जो होती है कैंसर सेल्स को destroy करने के लिए, that is deposited at one point only. But then this remarkable thing happens that there is absolutely no dose, जिसको बोलते हैं zero dose, जो कभी हमने सोचा भी नहीं था कि after the tumor there will be no dose of radiation whatsoever. So photon, जो conventional X-ray है, it will come like this, it will treat the tumor and little dose will be always there. Proton will come like this, it will treat the tumor and it will just fall off. There will be no dose whatsoever to the surrounding tissue. और अगर आपका ट्यूमर ऐसे आपने किया कि आपके सारे बीम्स इस तरीके से आए कि it will treat only the tumor, there will be very, very little dose to the surrounding structures, and that was the beauty of proton, which was actually recognized many, many years ago. Problem was that it was introduced even in 70s, proton. Lekin proton technology to generate in such a manner was extremely difficult. It was like this old Star Wars movie type styles. The technology. We had to use lot of collimators. We had to use lot of equipment. The facility was in kilometers long. I remember first time I saw proton 2006 in Japan. It was like several kilometers long. The machine was like humongous. So it was restricted to only very high-tech physics places or technological institutes like University of Berkeley in the US, in Sweden, in Zurich, and very few sites in Japan. So it was not very popular because it was almost impossible to build a proton facility, but they used to treat some patients. And most of the patients were tumors near the base of the skull. Skull ke jo niche hota hai, brain ke niche, because we know those tumors are very close to the very critical structures like eye, brain stem, and also they need very high dose of radiation, which we are not able to do with conventional radiation. And some of the childhood tumors, some of the prostate cancers, very few cancer patients were treated because the technology was not so great. It was called passive scatter technology, very cumbersome. The gantry was fixed, wo jo jahan se proton nikalta, it was not rotational at all. So there were a lot of limitations. So therefore, the first thing I want to make you understand is what we call there is a proton and there is a proton. There was a complete revolution which took place in the last 10-15 years. Therefore, we have to say what is the current proton beam therapy, contemporary proton beam therapy, the modern proton beam therapy, and that is very important. जो सबसे बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज हुई उसको बोलते हैं पेंसिल बीम टेक्नोलॉजी, एंड आई विल एक्सप्लेन टू यू इन अ मिनट व्हाट इट मींस. पुरानी मशीन में क्या होता था कि इट द बीम ऑफ प्रोटॉन साइक्लोट्रॉन से पहले निकलती थी. जैसे पेट स्कैन वगैरह होता है उसमें साइक्लोट्रॉन होता है, वहां से मशीन हम क्या करते हैं कि वी टेक प्योर हाइड्रोजन, हम इटली से मंगवाते हैं यहाँ से, उसमें से वन एटम इलेक्ट्रॉन इज रिमूव्ड आउट ऑफ दैट एंड द प्रोटॉन इज जनरेटेड, and then it takes several 64 magnets to bring it to the room where we actually deliver the treatment. So previous proton technology was like a torch, जैसे torch की beam होती है, so it used to go like this. But tumors are not. It used to treat a lot of normal tissue also. Even if there was no dose after the tumor, लेकिन पहले ही काफी tumor treat हो जाता था. तो उसके लिए क्या करते थे कि we used to make metal blocks such that it will treat only the tumor and block the rest of the tissue. लेकिन मॉडर्न प्रोटॉन थेरेपी क्या करती है कि इंस्टेड ऑफ दिस बिग टॉर्च यू हैव ए स्मॉल लेजर पॉइंटर, जैसे होता है जैसे जो हम यूज करते हैं फॉर अवर पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशंस. सो इट यूजेस अ स्मॉल स्पॉट एज स्मॉल एज 3 millimeters, एंड व्हाट इट डज इज इट जितना ट्यूमर होता है उसको स्लाइसेस में करके लाइक ए ब्रेड स्लाइसेस, इट गोज टू द जो सबसे डीपेस्ट स्लाइस है पहले उसको करता है ट्रीट. ये है फर्स्ट लेयर, उसको लेयर बोलते हैं. सो इट कन्वर्ट्स द ट्यूमर इनटू सेवरल लेयर्स, एंड विद दिस स्मॉल पॉइंटर व्हिच इज अ पेंसिल बीम विद डिफरेंट एनर्जी, इट विल ट्रीट द फर्स्ट लेयर व्हिच इज द मैक्सिमम एनर्जी ऑफ द प्रोटॉन एंड ट्रीट स्पॉट बाय स्पॉट, line by line, and then layer by layer. So in a tumor we treat like about 500 layers or 1000 layers, चाहे वो 3-4 सेंटीमीटर का ही ट्यूमर क्यों ना हो, उसको actually we do slices like this, and the technology is so fantastic that this pencil beam will go to that point, treat that area, and then keep on going proximally. उससे क्या होता है, what is called जैसे IMRT conventional radiation में होता है intensity modulated radiotherapy, here we call intensity modulated proton therapy, which is the most modern proton. So if somebody asks you proton के बारे में, first question you have to ask is, do you have pencil beam? Or you will be surprised to know about 30% to 40% of the proton machines in the world still do not have IMPT. They are still working on the older passive scatter technology, and a lot of limitations are there. So that is number one. Fortunately, both in Apollo Chennai and also the Tata, because I was involved with that project also, both of them have pencil beam technology. That is great, number one. Number two, the energy is now between 70 MeV to 230. So whether it is a superficial tumor like a neck node or a breast or some other area, or it is a deep-seated tumor like a prostate cancer or a pelvic cancer or a thoracic cancer like lung or mediastinum, it can treat aram se, no problem. Third thing क्या हो गया कि we also put a IGRT system into the proton, what we learned from the photon, like the conventional radiation. So we do a CT scan. There is an inbuilt facility to generate X-rays, such that you have a 3-dimensional CT scan. We generate on it. Then before we start the proton, you put it on the previous plan. अगर उसमें थोड़ा सा भी shift हुआ, 1-2 millimeter या 3 millimeter का, जो आप पहले define कर सकते हैं, actually we should not start, or treatment does not start. So only once you make sure that it is highly accurate, then only you start the treatment. And nowadays we actually do with the breathing also, what is called 4D. It's not only in 3D. For this to happen, this is all automated. So we have fantastic treatment planning computers and workstations in our physics planning rooms, where it's a lot of technical process. Many people are involved as a seamless. पहले simulation करते हैं, then we do the planning, we do a CT scan, we do MRI, sometimes even a PET scan, not all, but sometimes. Then it takes 4 to 5 days for us to generate the plan. Then there's a lot of quality assurance, because एक spot का measure करते हैं हम लोग कि बराबर से हुआ कि नहीं. अगर थोड़ा सा भी difference हुआ, the quality assurance parameters are so strict that you cannot go in proton from A to E without going through B, C, D. So that steps you have to follow. And that is the beauty of the proton. So because of these things, The modern proton therapy is much better. Now एक और चीज है कि there was some uncertainty also in the proton, और वो पुरानी स्लाइड में एक्चुअली फिर से दिखाऊंगा कि ये जो ब्रैग पीक है, sometimes we were not knowing कि ये ब्रैग पीक exactly where it ends, what is called end of range, जहां खत्म हो जाता है प्रोटॉन, and that depends upon the energy. अगर यहाँ 2-3 मिलीमीटर का भी आगे फर्क आया और उसके बाद डोज ही नहीं चल रही है, तो यू कैन एक्चुअली आइदर मिस द ट्यूमर, या अगर कोई क्रिटिकल स्ट्रक्चर है वहां पर, स्पाइनल कॉर्ड है या आई है या रेक्टम है, तो यू कैन एक्चुअली गिव वेरी हाई डोज टू दैट एरिया. So that was another problem in the proton in the older generation. That is why the title of the slide is Overcoming Uncertainties. But modern proton therapy, which is image guided, where you have the cone beam CT, which uses Monte Carlo algorithms on fantastic treatment planning computers like RayStation, and you treat spot by spot, line by line, layer by layer, where you have all the energies which is needed to treat a human body, a general human body. And you have the capability to do even the 40 sometimes and generate IMPT. That is the most sophisticated form of radiation which is present in the world at the moment. So these are the beauties of modern proton therapy. It's not just a proton. You have to be very careful to ask your doctor or your team, wherever you go, whether you do it in India, whether you go abroad, do you have these capabilities or not? Then only we must do it, because this is the one we should go for. इसकी वजह से क्या हुआ, बिकॉज ऑफ द पेंसिल बीम, एंड वी ऑल्सो हैव अ रोबोटिक काउच विच इज सुपर एक्यूरेट, बिकॉज अगर टेबल जहां पर ट्रीटमेंट देते हैं वो बराबर नहीं है, तो देन देयर इज नो पॉइंट इन डूइंग दिस हाई फाई स्टफ, वेयर वी कैन ट्रीट लार्ज फील्ड्स, वी कैन ट्रीट द मूविंग टारगेट, वी हैव द IGRT. जो क्लासिक इंडिकेशंस थी कैंसर्स की, लाइक सम चाइल्डहुड कैंसर, सम बेस ऑफ स्कल, सम प्रोस्टेट, now has actually expanded tremendously. You can treat liver cancer, head and neck cancers, lung cancer, breast cancer, gastrointestinal cancers like esophagus, pancreas, anal canal, rectum, pelvic tumors, sarcomas, prostate, mediastinal, and about 15 to 20% of the patients in cancer these days, because they are now living longer because of better radiation, better surgery, better chemotherapy, better targeted therapy, immunotherapy, you may have to give second time radiation also after a few years. So second time radiation, always the best thing is proton, because you can spare a lot of normal tissue such that you don't irradiate normal tissue, such that आपका quality of life better होगा और tolerance अच्छी कर सकते हैं आपको. तो हमने proton cancer center में Apollo, as you know, this is the only center at the moment, not only in India but entire South Asia, right from the Middle East countries, Africa, up to Australia. This is the only center at the moment catering, and we started exactly 2 years ago. It takes 4 or 5 years to build the center. Both Tata and Apollo almost started the same time in 2013 or 14. Then it took 5 to 6 years to develop. We also had problems because we had to get clearance from BARC in Bombay, Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. A lot of issues were there, but eventually I must give credit to Dr. PC Reddy, our chairman, who had the vision and bravery and foresight to bring this fantastic technology to our cancer patients in India also, such that they don't have to travel abroad and they don't have to go anywhere else, such that they can take the advantage of this. So we have already treated 300 patients, which is a fair, very good number in only where we have such a limited time to do all the quality assurance and everything. And as you can notice, a good number of patients belong to the pediatric population. Some people ask me, is it only for some cases? No, it can treat any age. As I have shown you here, my youngest child so far treated is 16 months, and the oldest person we have treated now is 88 years. And today's tumor board, we discussed one gentleman with 94 years who may also we may treat. It's a case of CA larynx, where the operation is not possible because of his age, and we may be able to treat. We were thinking today whether to treat that with proton. We have treated from all the states. This is just a snapshot. And as you can see, because we are the only centers, and many patients unfortunately have traveled all the way to Chennai, but what to do till more and more centers come up. As you can see, literally all the country is represented in this graph, where we get patients from everywhere. And also they sometimes have to travel, but we make arrangement. The treatment is like any other radiation, typically anywhere between 5 weeks to 7 weeks. Although in some cases, for example, early prostate cancer, we can finish the treatment in 1 week or 10 days. And some of the breast cancer cases, we can finish the treatment in 10 to 15 sittings only. But otherwise, it is like any other radiation, that fundamental principles of radiation cannot be compromised. और जिसको surgery चाहिए, chemotherapy चाहिए, वो तो लगेगा ही लगेगा. लेकिन wherever you feel radiation has to be given, not all cases, some cases which I will explain to you, you must consider protons for these cases. We have also treated number of patients from other countries. Our first ever patient was from Australia, actually from Sydney, and then we have treated number of them from all over. But I mean, this is not important, but just to show you that even from US and Africa and Europe and many other parts of the world, we have been able, in spite of the pandemic also, we had some problems, but now it is again picking up. And this, I will show you an example. This was a tumor near the sacrum, very difficult tumor where operation is not possible because spinal cord is there. You can cause paralysis of both the limbs. And this is the front, the top portion is the proton plan, that IMPT plan. ये क्या हमारे computer में दिखता है. So you can see the red is the part of the tumor which you have to treat with high dose of radiation to cure this patient. And the chances of cure for this patient is anywhere between 75 to 95% for the rest of his life. Now, this was a conventional radiation plan. Conventional, we have a conventional radiation machine also, by the way. Very good, that's called a tomotherapy. Tomotherapy is also one of the best machines in the world. Many people have, in Tata also we have two. So this is the conventional radiotherapy. अब इसमें क्या है कि इसमें भी red color का अच्छा dose मिल रहा है. But proton, you see, because it stops at the edge of the tumor, there is literally no dose to the rectum, no dose to the urinary bladder, no dose to the femoral head, no dose to the bones, no dose to the small bowel, and no dose to the surrounding structures. While here, you can see how much of the extra radiation we have to treat. This is the difference between the two plans. If we didn't give proton, because that needs very high dose, a lot of normal tissue would also get unnecessary radiation, which we don't need because we need to treat only this. And that's a beautiful example to show how much superiority in at least this particular case, because it was very critically located, where conventional radiation would not have been able to treat to such a dose, which is what we do is conventional में क्या करते हैं, radiation की dose थोड़ी कम कर देते हैं कभी-कभी, because we cannot, the normal tissue cannot tolerate, and then the cure rate also comes down. So here, to maintain the cure rate, it's a chordoma, by the way, which is a classic case for proton, and in the sacrum, and this at the पीछे होता है spine के नीचे. So these are a beautiful case for the proton. This is our own case, one of the earliest cases that we treated. Similarly, skull-based tumor hota hai, which I briefly mentioned to you at the between the brain and the head and neck area. These are very difficult cancers and tumors. These are located in such a state कि जहां आप operation करना भी चाहें, the neurovascular bundle is there, carotid artery is there, nerves are there, brainstem is there, optic nerve is there, pituitary gland is there, hypothalamus is there, memory center is not so far. So in the conventional radiation, all this area will get a lot of dose, or you may not give so much high dose in the conventional radiation, even with IMRT, even with IGRT, even with tomotherapy, even with CyberKnife. But this is again a beautiful case where we treated with a large area to a very high dose of radiation. And also this plan is from a gynecologist from Nagpur. She's doing extremely well. And she had 2-3 surgeries. We could not remove it properly. It was in the base of the skull, near the bones, and we gave a beautiful dose, and the tumor has shrunk significantly, and she's doing extremely well, both clinically as well as doing her clinical practice. But it doesn't mean that every single case is due for proton. It doesn't mean that whatever case comes to us, we will go through it. We have a very robust system. Typically, we get lot of queries from all over the country, all over the world, also sometimes on a daily basis, either by phone or by email, or patients also come here. There is a strict system I have adopted here based on multidisciplinary care, tumor board discussion, what I learned in Tata. So after the consultation, they will go through the rigorous process within the team, look at the MRI scans, look at the pathology, look at the other aspects. We see, first of all, radiation is needed or not. If radiation is needed, can we get away with the conventional radiation only? Why to go for this high precision radiation? Because there is a lot of hard work to be done by my team, and there's a cost also involved. If they qualify, then only we will discuss with the family. So it has to go through that process. It takes 1 or 2 days extra for us to evaluate whether it is needed or not. And fortunately, it is not just a proton facility in our setup. We also have a fully dedicated comprehensive cancer center, which has all the MRI scans, latest PET scan. Fortunately, it's a very international level center with daycare, medical oncology, 150 beds. It has a palliative care unit. There's a pain clinic. There is anesthesiologist. There's a pediatric team, and everything is there. And it is like a DMG approach. We call it cancer management team approach. There are several, 7, 8 cancer management teams, which will, whether it is breast cancer, head and neck cancer, each doctor does only 1 or 2 sites. They cannot do all the sites. For example, I do only brain tumors. My other colleague does only head and neck cancers and breast cancer. Other colleague does only prostate cancer. So we have divided among ourselves such that you give quality care as any other international major center to do this selection of the proton. We have already published a lot of papers because it is unique to our experience. And also one of the things, especially in private setup, we have realized people do not accumulate the data so well. But right from day one, we established a clinical research secretariat. And I got a couple of people from Tata only to join us. And each patient of proton is accrued in a prospective database. They all undergo a quality of life questionnaire before the treatment and during the treatment, after the treatment. We collect their toxicity data, we collect their local control data, we collect their survival data. Although it is only 2 years, but we have already fairly published a reasonable number in the international journals and national journals. This was the first boy in the country, was a brain tumor patient, was from Jodhpur, who got the proton therapy, and he got some mileage in the press also. But in the scientific literature, I don't have to tell you all the things, but several papers are published. This was for young adults and children because this is a good chunk of patients that are qualifies for proton. And I'll give you some reasons also for it. And the toxicity data is extremely encouraging and is published in a very prestigious journal, JCO's Global Oncology, which comes from the US. As I mentioned, this was our first child with a brain tumor. It was very deep seated in the central location. You can see this tumor. It's like a necklace. There calcification hota hai aise patients mein. It's a benign tumor. So the chance of cure is as high as 90% to 98% for the rest of his life. The probability of surviving 70, 80, 90 years is up to the tune of 95%. So every single millimeter of the normal tissue becomes very important to spare. So ye upar wala jo plan hai, that is a tomotherapy, photon, IMRT plan. You can see good distribution, but lot of normal tissue also gets blue dose, which is the radiation extra dose. And then you look at the proton plan, beautiful distribution of the dose with hardly any dose to the surrounding structures. So एक important area होता है brain का जिसको बोलते हैं hippocampus. Hippocampus is the area which is seat for memory and intelligence. This is our own data from my previous institution, Tata, where we accrued a lot of childhood brain tumors, not with proton, with conventional radiation. We found out that many of these patients in the long term, they have memory deficits. Cognitively, they are not so great. Growth is not so brilliant. They are not doing well in the school or in the colleges. With the proton, that advantage is there because you are sparing so much normal tissue. Their quality of life in the long term become very, very good. And there are several other cases. Just one example to show you, jisko bolte hain craniospinal irradiation, very complex treatment where we have to treat the entire brain and entire spinal cord. And the chance of cure is anywhere between 50 to 80% of these tumors, although they are grade 4 tumors, medulloblastoma or germ cell tumors or ependymoma. These are common brain tumors in the children or young adults up to about 25, 30, 35 years of age. उसमें क्या होता है कि you can see beautiful dose, again red, but literally no dose at all to the surrounding structure. अगर photon होता conventional, it would have treated a lot of normal tissue like testes, bowel, intestine, heart, kidney, trachea, eyes. They are all nicely spared with proton because of the Bragg peak. There is zero dose, and this is a classic indication for proton whenever you do craniospinal radiation. And it has been also shown that when you do proton therapy as compared to photon, there are a lot of papers. I have also written 2-3 papers on the subject already, where in international journals, where we have shown that the cognitive and IQ and intelligence and ability to function in the normal society, school going, academically, mathematics, all are much, much better with proton because you are sparing a lot of normal tissue, which otherwise you will not be able to treat the normal radiation. As I mentioned, there were previously what we used to think was कि 2.5 to 3 years के पहले radiation नहीं दे सकते आप, because the normal brain is growing. If you give radiation, then it will cause a lot of problems. But there are few brain tumors where you cannot wait. We still try to wait as much as possible, but sometimes if it is not possible, because the limitation, because the proton is so accurate, we can actually treat these patients even less than 3 years. And this is throughout the world, not only in India. Data came actually from St. Jude's initially, where they also had the proton facility, and it can be treated with photon also, by the way, these days. So this child, just by pure chance, I saw him today only as a follow-up. He has completed now 1.5, almost 2 years. August 2020, we treated. After 1 year, that scan is absolutely clean. Child has grown up very nicely. It was such a pleasure to see this child today and on follow-up. Now, I will give you another example. 17-year-old girl with a very difficult brain tumor. It was a germinoma, received 4 cycles of chemotherapy. We had to give whole ventricular radiation. And many of these patients were cured, but what was happening was their IQ was not good. They were not doing well in the school. I'm sure Vandana and all of you must have experiences with these childhood cancers. So this girl surprised me like anything. So what she did was she took the 12th exam and she came third in the entire district, got 593 marks out of 600. तो ये 7 marks कैसे छोड़ दिए उसने, मुझे समझ नहीं आया. So we complimented her, of course, and she's doing extremely well, both from the physical point of view. You can see the hair has grown back. She just looks like a normal young lady. And we are very proud of her accomplishments. And she's now again going strength to strength, in spite of having a brain tumor, a very difficult one. That too, she has a chance of cure of more than 90%. And more importantly, we are able to spare her normal tissue such that she will not have any long-term side effects. This is just to show you the actual machine. This is the robotic couch. It's like any other radiation machine, but very hi-fi and high-tech, but very patient-friendly. And it is very interesting. So they can choose the color of the room. They can choose the song they want to play. Typically, treatment-wise, it is slightly more. Conventional radiation takes about 10-15 minutes or so on the machine. Here it takes anywhere between 25 minutes to 45 minutes, because we have to do the CT scans inside the machine before you start. We have to do a lot of quality assurance, and usme time lag jata hai. Actual proton generation treatment is only for about 10 minutes or so, but whole process takes about 45 minutes, completely painless, and patients can just go and go down and go to your, whatever is there. We get a lot of children, very young children. Sometimes we have to give anesthesia for this. We have a beautiful anesthesia team with a very patient child, environmental friendly situation where we can open the eyes also during the mass such that they don't get afraid. We put nice music on them. They can see the cartoons also in the room. So it's very patient friendly room. We have 3 such rooms, out of which Tata also will have 3 rooms. It is step by step. First 9 months we could treat only, first 1.5 years we could treat only 1 room. Now we can do 2 rooms, and very soon in the next 2-3 months, we can also have the 3rd room such that more number of patients are treated. And we also have a fun zone. We have a child play area. We made a proton story as to how to do it. We have made a small animation film, and this masks our therapists to gain their confidence. There's a beautiful workshop we do for every single child, or even adult patients. Sometimes they take these masks, they paint them like Superman or Spider-Man or things like that. And that was also an extremely important, the environment, how to do, because a lot of patients are children. And in pediatric cancers, any childhood cancer, even up to young adults, 25, 30 years, 35 years, anyone needs radiation, 100% you must consider proton. And there are several series. For example, ye Sweden ka ek series tha in different childhood and young adult cancer. These are the common cancers. Some of you may also recognize. They said, based on their insurance and healthcare, and these were also led by patient advocates and their parents, they said we must switch over from photon IMRT to proton IMPT. और आप देखेंगे कि कितने ही cancers और childhood tumors में already they want us to switch over from to proton. Low grade glioma, all patients should be treated with proton. Optic pathway glioma, all should be treated. High grade gliomas are very difficult tumors, so there the evidence is not so great. Germ cell tumors, medulloblastoma, ependymoma, craniopharyngioma, it's a must in these countries that they must get proton. And there are insurance and there are other issues also, of course, in our country. base of skull tumors, and some other cancers are also becoming. So there are national and international consensus guidelines, at least in childhood and young adult, that you must switch over to proton. Pituitary adenoma also very good candidate for proton therapy. Head and neck cancers also. Head and neck cancer, number one cancer in our country, in men especially, particularly in the oral cavity and the oropharynx. May not be so much in the lower part of thyroid and this area, but salivary gland tumors, paranasal sinuses, maxilla, जो आंख के नजदीक होता है, nose cancers, nasal cavity, ये जो cheek cancer होता है, they are very good candidates for proton therapy because you can spare a significant amount of normal tissue on the opposite side. तो जो mucositis होता है radiation के time, many times they need surgery also that you still have to give. They need chemotherapy also, that also you have to give. But radiation के normal time पे they get lot of mucositis. They are not able to swallow. They are not able to chew properly. The taste is deranged. Sometimes you have to interrupt the radiation. Some people don't even complete the treatment. What has become fascinating is their quality of life is so much better because you limit the proton radiation. The opposite side जाती नहीं है radiation, so they are able to tolerate very well. So there is no interruption of the treatment. And one of the most fascinating things what we realized in the last 2.5 years was, young में तो था ही था, many in the elderly patient population, 70, 75, 80, 85-year-olds also, because many of these patients are not able to tolerate the conventional radiation. कभी-कभी radiation बोलते हैं नहीं ये elderly patient है, chemo radiation दो ही मत इसको, tolerate ही नहीं करेंगे. What we realized was basically in oral cavity, you see large portion of our patients are oral cavity. But we have also treated nasopharynx, salivary gland, paranasal sinuses, hypopharynx, some larynx. The tolerance is very good. जैसे conventional radiation में तो पूरा का पूरा white हो जाता है ये. इसमें देखिए आप बिल्कुल एक side पे white है, दूसरी side पूरा spare है, which we could not even dream in the previous technology. So this is another great advantage in head and neck cancers. And whenever you have to give second time radiation, I always told you they are great candidates for it. अच्छा, कई लोगों का कहना है, including myself, breast cancer there is a lot of promise. क्यों? Especially left side, because heart comes in the field. So when we give conventional radiation, it gives a good dose to the chest wall. Also sometimes when you treat the intact breast, but little bit dose always go to the heart. The right side mein nahi hota because heart is on the left side. But these days we also have to give sometimes to the lymph node region if the tumor is very large and the tumor is situated on the inner side of the breast, jisko bolte hain inner quadrant. There also heart gets irradiated, and proton mein literally there is no dose at all. आप देख सकते हैं proton के लिए. So there is a lot of research happening in the US. We have already treated a lot of cases on breast cancer also through my colleague Dr. Sapna Nangia, who is leading this program. And many of us believe that in left-sided breast cancer, it has not become the standard of care as yet, because data is being collected, because the cardiac morbidity होती है वो 5-10 साल के बाद होती है. लेकिन अगर हो गई एक बार तो उसको रिवर्स नहीं कर सकते आप लोग, तो इसलिए पहले ही जो बेस्ट ट्रीटमेंट है वो ही देना चाहिए. So many people are saying, you see the heart dose is so less as compared to the conventional radiation. कहाँ 10.5, कहाँ 0.9. Dose to the opposite side of breast from 3.9 to 0.2. Significant reduction to the major coronary event. So this is another great indication. Lung cancer, when you have to give radiation plus chemotherapy in stage 2, stage 3, sometimes even early stage 4 also, there again it has become very, very good. In fact, in the US, lung cancer has become the second commonest cancer to be treated with proton after prostate cancer and childhood cancers, and also brain tumors. So this is also a lot of data is coming. Now you can see there was a database in the US, National Cancer Database in the America. They compared the data between photon X-rays in 243,000 patients and matched them with age, sex, stage of the disease, what treatment, and found out proton was associated 35% times better survival compared to the photon. So it is also becoming a very good indication, because you can spare the normal tissue, you can spare the esophagus, you can spare the heart. And now we have the technology such that even the motion, breathing and breath hold ki wajah se, or there are other techniques also where you can treat the proton. This is one of our old patients. We have treated that 80-year-old gentleman, which I showed you, was actually a lung cancer patient. He is a celebrity. I cannot tell you his name. That he was treated, touch wood, he's still doing well. It is now more than 1.5 years. And this patient is also, because you can treat beautifully with sparing of the normal lung, opposite side lung, and also to the heart and other structures, which otherwise we cannot treat. Prostate cancer, also very good data. It was old data of 26 patients. Now it is about 40 patients. Every single case has become normal so far, but we are selecting the cases also properly, both mainly in the intermediate to high risk prostate cancer. Jisme pelvic nodes also we have to treat. There, the difference is enormous. High risk prostate cancer. Early prostate cancer, you can maybe treat with photons also. Lekin proton ka advantage kya hai? In very early prostate cancer, stage 1 or early stage 2, you can actually finish the treatment in only about a week or sometimes in 2 to 3 weeks also. Lekin high risk, you have to treat the entire pelvis. That is 5-6 weeks treatment anyway, whether it is photon or proton. But the sparing of the normal tissue is significantly better. Also sexual function. And in our country, the average of age of when we diagnose prostate cancer is only 60 to 62 years. Not like in the US where it is 75 years. So in young men, also because it can spare a lot of normal nerve structures, there is a lot of very beautiful data in prostate cancer that sexual function also very important. We should not disregard sexual function, even in a slightly older man, that is also much better with proton as compared to photon. GI cancer, liver cancer, hepatocellular liver cancer, you can operate, you can do transplant, you can do TACE, you can do immunotherapy, you can do many other things. Whenever you have to do radiation, because it can spare a lot of normal liver, you can irradiate to very high doses. In Japan, especially where liver cancer is very common, it is a standard of care. Jab bhi liver cancer ho, they will always treat with proton. This was one of our own cases, huge liver cancer here. This is the normal liver, by the way. And this is the cancer, this big cancer. He was not suitable for operation. He was not suitable for chemotherapy. He was also not suitable for radionuclide therapy. We treated with proton, almost 80% tumor gone in 3 months' time only. And now, of course, we have the follow-up also, and he's still doing very well. Again, I'm saying not each case. It has to go to the tumor board. Some patients may not be suitable when they are infiltrating with the aorta or the vessels or some other sites. Sometimes it is a borderline indication for anything. But whenever your radiation is needed, proton therapy must be shown. There is a randomized trial, which is called level 1 evidence in esophageal cancers, the food pipe cancers, and we have treated a number of them already. Dr. Srinivas, my colleague, treats them. And where we have shown, people have shown, this is from the MD Anderson data, by the way, where the first trial, they compared half the patients treated with photon, half the patients treated with proton, and there was a significant advantage of treating proton in these difficult cancers as well. This is one of our own cases of esophageal. Increasingly, we are also treating pancreatic cancer where surgery is not possible, where it is locally aggressive and is close to the critical structures. Some of these patients are candidates for proton therapy also. This was one of our own cases, actually from Bombay. 61-year-old, he had 2 cancers simultaneously. One was a pancreatic cancer, which was operated in Memorial Sloan Kettering, but he also had a rectal cancer and already very major surgery was done. He didn't want to lose the rectum because you have to remove the rectum, then he will lose the sphincteric function. So we treated with proton therapy. There was complete resolution along with chemo. And fortunately, even now he is able to function properly without any stoma, without any colostomy. It doesn't mean that every single case you have to treat. You have to select the cases properly. If they are suitable, then you must give them this treatment also. As I mentioned, we are collecting the quality of life right at the baseline based on the EURTC, patient reported outcome data. That is my Tata training. So we are doing every single patient and we are collecting over a period of time. Fortunately, so far, quality of life very good for these patients. Last 1 or 2 slides is on cost. Because proton has heavy investment, whether it is in a private setup or in a government setup, doesn't matter. Even if it is in a government setup, ultimately, somebody has to pay the cost. The taxpayer has to pay the cost. So it's a heavy investment because the technology is like that, whether it is robotics, whether it is chemotherapy, whether it is immunotherapy, whether it is transplant also takes 40-50 lakhs. So unfortunately, these do come with the cost, and same is true with proton. So what people do in the West also, it's a major issue. So what they did was they looked at the cost initially, and then they looked at the cost at the end. And that is called Markov model. It's an economic model. They see even if there is an investment at the initial, whether it is the patient or the healthcare provider or the hospital, उसमें कितना benefit मिलता है future में, whether you are able to spare the normal function, patient is able to go back to the society, patient is able to function normally, patient is able to learn properly, go to the school, go to college, or in an older patient also hold on to the job, security, employment, so on and so forth. Whenever you need radiation, so there are several series, this is the best data, that because of many other factors, eventually in many cancers, especially pediatric cancers, in head and neck cancers, in some of the lung cancers, in left-sided breast cancers, in some of the GI cancers, eventually it becomes cost effective as a societal burden. So that is another, there are several series, what is called the cost effectiveness of any technology, including proton. So in summary, this is the last slide. I think that pediatric cancers, brain tumors, head and neck cancers, liver, breast, prostate, rectum, bone and soft tissue, GI, lung, it has been estimated that at the moment, about 5 to 10% of the cancer patients can easily qualify for proton because the data is accumulating. But in the next 5-6 years, some people are saying already about 25 to 30% of the cancer patients who need radiation will qualify for proton based on what I have already explained to you. I also do, because of my work in the charity, I do a monthly support group meeting with all these patients. And this is just a snapshot when we started the first, these are just milestones. And this is some of the team members and some of the happy patients that we have already treated in our setup. So with that, I want to acknowledge enormous help with our fantastic team, both the radiation technologists, physicists, doctors, our Dr. P.C. Reddy, Preeta Reddy, many other people, and our patients and families. We have a bell, we do lots of artwork with our patients, and we have a fun zone, industry partners, project, care coordinators, IT, and of course, again, immense gratitude to our patients and families. But still cancer, it is not, that doesn't mean we have proton and cancer is gone. I would strongly urge, this is one small step to help us in our cancer survivorship. Ultimately, cancer has to be seen and addressed as a public health policy. There needs to be a societal awakening and movement from all stakeholders, whether it is healthcare providers, patient advocates, people like you, me, everyone, almost like a crusade, such that and we should not be happy only that we have achieved 5-year survival. It should be long-term cure. And also, as I always say, it is not the cure, it is the quality of cure. It's not the survival, it is the quality of survivorship, which is absolutely critical, at par with whatever our goal is. And all of us have to work in concert, then only we will achieve success. And ऊपर से cancer बढ़ भी रहा है, तो it is a double-edged sword. The numbers are also increasing, but we have to also look after for all these points. With that, I again thank Vandana and all of you for this beautiful, for this opportunity and for your patient learning. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
BG, you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Dr. Janali. I think it was really very, very wonderful, and to learn that it is doing so well. But there are a lot of questions which have come up. The first one is, who is a good candidate for proton therapy?
I'll just summarize. I already mentioned, we have a lot of time. It's only 5 o'clock. So the best candidates are any child, whenever with cancer or tumor, whenever if they need radiation. First question is whether they need radiation. We try to avoid radiation in children, obviously. So any brain tumor, for example, any childhood brain tumor, except if they are very, very malignant, where the survival is only 1.5 years, then of course there is a question mark. But generally speaking, 70 to 80% of the childhood cancers are cured, as you know, Vandana. So whether it is a bone tumor, whether it's a brain tumor, whether there's a retinoblastoma, whether it's a Wilms tumor, thoracic cancer, whatever the indication may be, sarcoma, if they need radiation, they must be considered for proton. And that is an international now. Children's Oncology Group in US, aankh band karke, they will give insurance and accrue in the proton facility. And that is the international level that we have to bring it in our country also. That is number one. It has been also extended to teenage and young adults because they also have a long, many survivorship. So whenever they need radiation, they should be considered. Most of the brain tumors, except maybe glioblastoma, because that is still a very difficult cancer. But benign tumors like pituitary tumor, craniopharyngioma, meningioma, or a low-grade glioma or pilocytic astrocytoma, brain tumor has now become the commonest cancer in children. It has overtaken leukemia as the number one. So whenever they need radiation, about 80% of them do need radiation, please consider for proton therapy also. Third indication, head and neck cancers, very good indication. Whenever there's an oral cavity, especially stage 1B onwards, 2 and 3, wherever they need combination of surgery and radiation, sometimes with chemo if the neck nodes are positive, salivary gland tumors, parotid gland, base of skull tumors I already mentioned, paranasal sinus cancers, nasopharynx cancers, great candidates for proton therapy. Maybe not so much in the larynx, but upper part of the head and neck, very good indication. Whenever you have to treat the patient in the thorax, lungs, for example, stage 2, stage 3, or early stage 4, when there's only one small spot of metastasis somewhere, what is called oligometastasis, which you still can cure for many years, or mediastinal tumors like a germ cell tumor or a thymoma, that can be also great candidates for proton. Liver cancer, as I mentioned, hepatocellular carcinoma, very good candidate, but not metastatic cancer. If it is a metastasis, then it's a different story. Some of the deep-seated tumors like pancreas, some of the deep-seated tumors like anal canal and rectum, if they are qualifying for radiation, should be considered for proton. Sarcomas of any part, whether it is skull, whether it is extremity, whether it is in the periphery or in the pelvis, where radiation treats a lot of normal tissue, must be considered for proton. Prostate cancer, if they are stage 2 onwards, if you need to treat pelvic lymph nodes, because large amount of radiation has to be given. There was a recent trial published from Tata Memorial by Dr. Vedant, which produced internationally was acclaimed 1 month ago, where they compared radiation in slightly more advanced prostate cancer with only prostate radiation or prostate plus pelvic radiation. So pelvic radiation was vastly superior. This is the new standard. But they had significant toxicity also because it was not proton, it was on TOMO and IMRT. So people are now looking in those cases, you must treat with prostate. Any case which second time you have to give radiation, whether it is head and neck cancer, lung cancer, anywhere, you must consider for proton. And these are the established indications. The emerging indications are left-sided breast cancer, which I briefly told you, but bladder cancer, some people are thinking, some of the kidney cancer. These are the emerging indications. So in general, these are the indications for proton.
So Dr. Jalali, you mentioned that in proton, it can be done like normally what we know is that if radiation has been done in one area, then it can't be repeated again. But what I have understood is that even if radiation has been done, and if there's a recurrence, then proton therapy can be given there, right?
Can be given. Even in conventional radiation now in the last 5-7 years, we have witnessed about 10%, even 15, even 20% of the cancer because the survivorship is getting better. You know, every year there is more and more advanced. Yeah. But because the patients are living longer, sometimes recurrences are also tagging. Primarily, kya hota tha ki first time only we are not able to treat or cure many of these cases. And sometimes you have to reoperate or chemo and sometimes given second radiation, even with photon, by the way, even in Tata. But sometimes when you have to give second time, you are absolutely right. Proton is again a clear-cut superior because of the limit, because it can limit the normal tissue.
So now you are saying that the patient should come to the proton center and get the proton therapy done. But again, in your talk, you mentioned that it is the doctors and the team who decide whether proton therapy should be given or not. So ultimately, I as a patient may want to get proton therapy, but you as a physician or a doctor may refuse to give it to me.
Yeah, because you cannot, just because you have, jisko bolte na, you have a hammer, everything should not look like a nail. Wo bhi expensive hammer ho. So you have to use it judiciously. It is the same story like immunotherapy. So many patients every day, because of the hype created, they want immunotherapy. So you have to select the cases. No, they should have PD-1, PD-L1, they should have the markers. Then only you can give immuno. Similarly with proton also. Or robotic surgery, somebody, no, I want robotic surgery. Hona bhi chahiye. So we have to select the patient. We have to see whether it is, first of all, needed radiation. How much is the increment? For example, I get sometimes glioblastoma patients. I know the survival, or brainstem gliomas, or we get metastatic everywhere. As desperate, they say, no, we want proton. So we have to humbly submit to them, there is not great advantage. And it is not only the cost of the patient, but there's a lot of work. It is very physician intense. So you have to select hamara kaam bhi. It's a lot. So whether there is a benefit. So even if you are a patient, you must submit your case data to us. You don't need necessarily come here, because another thing which you mentioned, the digital technology has helped us. You can upload it on Google Drive. We will go through the tumor board. We have the Proton Consortium. We'll discuss with your parent, primary oncologist, or anyone else. If you are suitable, then only come, because a little far also. And this is what internationally they do. It's not only us, that is all major academic centers do the same.
So is there a lot of difference between the side effects in the conventional radiation and the proton therapy?
If there is one thing which differentiates between photon and proton, it is the side effects. Sometimes the local control and survival may not be so different, because many times we give equal dose only. Or in some challenging sites, you can actually give higher dose. And two more things which I did not mention, it's a good opportunity to mention. Number one, what is called RBE, radiobiological effectiveness. The RBE as compared to photon, dose to dose, apple to apple, is 1.1 to 1.2 times better than photon. So some people say because it's positive charge, that, excuse me, that may also make the local control slightly better. But we don't want to make a big drama out of it, because the magnitude of benefit is very small. But what is unequivocally proven, case by case, especially, some people say very early cancer, very small tumors, proton might be better. But actually that is not true, because if it is a very small tumor, we have to give radiation. In fact, simple radiation also can do the job. But whenever the tumors become slightly larger, more than 3, 4, 5 centimeter, or the stage becomes slightly more, then you have to treat a large field. There the benefit becomes enormous between the photon and proton. Many times, even the insurance company asks us many times, even US, they have to generate a photon plan, IMRT plan, and an IMPT plan. If there is a superiority, then only insurance will approve the proton. Same is with us. So that is second advantage. The side effect profile is significantly better. Third thing, which I forgot to tell, as maybe you know also, I don't want to alarm the cancer survivors, but as you know, a small percentage of cancer survivors can develop a second cancer. You know, you may have seen, I have seen, and it has been estimated as 0.5% to even 10 to 20% of the cancer survivors in the long term can develop second. A small percent is because of genetic, environment, so on and so forth, but also because of treatment, chemotherapy and radiation especially. 60 to 70% of the second cancers can be because of radiation. And because the low dose and intermediate dose wash of radiation, that is the moderate dose, is significantly less. High dose is more or less same, significantly less. So the what is called dose bath, which normal tissues are bathed in normal radiations, they are not exposed. Lot of data that significant reduction of second cancers with proton. That again important in whenever you have more than 10-year survivorship probability. I actually argue even a 60-year-old man has 30 years more to live. Why not give proton? Because he also why should we expose them to any second cancers or risks of radiation side effects long term? So, but because of the cost and increment and this and that, the focus is slightly on the younger people. But I would argue each person is same, each patient is same, it doesn't matter. And they should at least qualify, or they should be at least discuss the pros and cons of proton.
So Dr. Jalali, one question I wanted to ask you, have you discussed this with, or are most of the doctors in the rural areas or semi-rural areas, semi-urban areas aware of proton therapy? Because I hear a lot of patients saying, हमको डॉक्टर ने कहा है बस खाली प्रोटॉन थेरेपी के लिए जाना है आपको और फिर वहां पे नहीं हो रहा है. So sometimes that can create a problem with the patients, that the local doctor may say proton therapy is the best thing for you, and when you assess them and you tell them that proton therapy will not work for them, so it's a disappointment for the patient from both, and then he doesn't know who to believe, because naturally he has come with hopes that it will be given to him, and you are giving him the reality that it can't be given.
I agree with you. Sometimes it is very difficult situation for us. And I have seen it in my entire 30-year career. It's not now it is proton, but previously we had IMRT had the same issue. The gamma knife or the cyber knife or tomotherapy had the same, even immunotherapy and targeted therapy, because there is hope on it. And sometimes there is a little bit hype also, unfortunately. So you are right. The information, it takes little time to disseminate, and we are just only one center. But now Tata will come, Singapore will start at the end of the next year. Then there is one center coming in the Middle East. There is one center coming in Adelaide. So generally Europe, literally every year, 2-3 centers are coming up. US now, we have about 30-35 centers. MD Anderson putting second unit of proton. So as the awareness increases, as the data gets accumulated, then I think it will be more transparent. अभी क्या है कि थोड़ा यूटोपिया है, पता नहीं है कि है क्या चीज, उनको लगता है कि नहीं बस से it is the panacea of all cures, ऐसा नहीं है. So we have to, but we cannot lie just because there is a patient and we cannot tell them कि नहीं भाई you are beneficial for the proton. So that intellectual honesty and ethical, we cannot dilute that thing. So we are trying to build, though there is a lot of team in Apollo and Proton partners, we are disseminating the knowledge, and I'm grateful to you because this platform will also help to at least show some path at which how to go about it. And our website, our telephone numbers, we have a beautiful network. Apollo has that advantage, and Tata will also have that same advantage, is because there are 76 hospitals of Apollo. There are 14 cancer centers around the country. So we have people everywhere, but in towns and villages, sometimes it becomes difficult because this thing is there. Now there is other way around also. This is one part of it. There is second part also. Second part is the patient actually is affordable. They are willing to come to Chennai, even village. Excellent candidate for proton, but the local doctor says, no, there is no data. Why are you going there? वो भी होता है. And there are many issues which I cannot tell you on this public forum. So these are other issues, competitive issues also, which we are facing. So it's the both sides of the coin, unfortunately. But I do believe it happened with every therapy. Now, even immunotherapy, we have that plateau. We now know where to use judiciously, where not to use. And similarly with other cancer therapies also. So usually it is the trend in medicine. There's this big splash and then it becomes settled. Then it's a plateau and there's an incremental increase. And I think this is the time, and especially the technology has now plateaued. We have got the IMPT with the pencil beam, with the cone beam. Now there is very hardly any major improvement. So next is only data. And when the data accumulates, there is more, and patients are becoming wiser, and intellect and internet and digital space, people like you. So I think it will become better in the coming years.
So there's a woman who's of a childbearing age, and she gets proton therapy in the uterus area. Will she be able to have a child, or will it damage the tissues?
So we do get sometimes these type of patients who are nulliparous, who have not had children, very young ladies, and we have to treat the pelvic area, whether it is uterus, whether it is sometimes even GI cancers, or sometimes ovarian cancers, or sometimes, all that sites where the ovary or the uterus itself may be exposed to radiation. Even sarcomas, or even I mentioned to you that craniospinal axis radiation, that can also cause scatter dose to the ovaries in a young child of say 10-year-old or 8-year-old girl. What to talk about childbearing age? Because if the ovaries are damaged with radiation, she will not have even ovulation. She perhaps sometimes may not have even menarche if it is really treated very young. And we have faced these issues all the time. So proton definitely is far superior than to conventional radiation in sparing of the normal tissue of the ovaries, both, and also the fallopian tubes and uterus and all the other structures of vagina, vulva, whatever is needed. However, if the tumor itself is in that area, whether it has to be operated or because of radiation only we have to treat, and that itself is the area which we have to treat, the cancer is there only, then obviously you cannot take care whether we have to give any form of radiation. So those cancer cases, unfortunately, it's a very hard decision to take, whether to preserve or at the cost of the life to some extent. So that is a different story. But there are many instances in our practice where sometimes we wish we could spare a little bit more. And we know also what doses to what volume they need before they fail as a function, ovarian function or uterine function. That definitely proton has a vast superiority over photon.
And somebody wanted to know that if it is given in the head and neck area, does it cause long-term hearing loss or a short-time hearing loss, or it doesn't matter?
So it doesn't matter to some extent. As I mentioned, in head and neck cancer areas, actually that is the benefit, because the opposite side of parotid gland will be safe. So there is no dryness of the mouth if it is on the one side. The hearing area also, because of the sharp beam which I showed you, so the doses to that area will not get affected. Of course, as I mentioned in the previous instance also, अगर ट्यूमर ही वहीं पर है तो क्या उसको तो देना ही पड़ेगा dose. But if the tumor is even few millimeters or centimeters away, we can beautifully, literally pad the dose where we want and spare the normal tissue. So in a case-to-case basis, if there is a probability of sparing the normal structure, it has to be proton. That has the best chance of sparing the normal tissue in head and neck cancer.
It's very heartening to know that pancreatic cancers are treatable with proton, because just now, it's a very grim situation where you always say, oh, pancreatic cancer. And then you yourself begin to doubt, kya kahe patient ko, वैसे वाली बात है. So now, is there a waiting list in Apollo, or?
There used to be a waiting list when we started, because we got only 8 hours. That is, even in Tata, it will be the same. That is the international level. In any center, you get only few hours, because the engineers, for example, our engineers from IBA, which is the #1 company in the world with maximum number of installations, a Belgian company. Fortunately, Tata will also have the same company. So their engineers are with us 24/7. They will be with us for 11 years. So initially we could use only one room for 8 hours. Then after some time you get the second room, then you get the third room. Then the number of hours is then 12. And as I told you, it takes a little bit more time than the conventional radiation. There's a quality assurance, lot of, even during the treatment for 4, 5, 6 weeks, what happens is we have to do quality assurance CT scans and MRIs in between to make sure that everything is okay. So because of that, you have a limitation of the number of patients that you can treat. So there used to be a waiting list, but fortunately from October last year, 2020, just when the pandemic was actually, that time was pandemic, we had number of patients a little bit less, but we were fortunate, we got the second room now, and the number of hours are extended to 2 shifts. So fortunately, there is hardly any waiting list now at the moment, but the numbers are, increasing for our proton numbers again. So I hope we can manage, but even if the numbers increase, we will start the third room. So we are reasonably good for about a year, year and a half, I would say. And, but then if the number becomes too large, then we will have to see.
So what would be the typical cost? I know it can vary for various cancers, but just as a ballpark figure, how much?
Yeah, so it is an important question, and it is always, any proton facility in the world. So if you go to the US and all that, it is really, really expensive. It may start between, in some centers, in university hospitals, we have seen sometimes going down to about $85, $90, $100,000 to 120, to 150, 160, sometimes MD Anderson, all these centers, more than even $200,000. Here in our hospital, it is 30 lakhs for the entire 5, 6, 7 weeks treatment. If the number of sittings are slightly smaller, then we have the ability to reduce the cost a little bit. That is only the therapy cost. It doesn't include the surgery or chemotherapy or stay and other sites, as you know. But it does include the cost of the planning, which includes the MRI, if PET scan has to be done, CT scan, the mask making, in between quality assurance. They are all part of the whole setup. We have struggled with the cost in our country because they're quite an expensive proposition. Sometimes great candidates for proton, and they are not able to because of many other issues. Fortunately, in the last 1.5 years, 1 year especially, the insurance has kicked in greatly. So many of our patients, almost all insurances are covered. We are waiting very keenly. In the next very little time, even the government, the GIPSA may also get empaneled with the proton. So that is an additional advantage. Although there is a limit, as you know, in those patients, but at least part of it can be covered in that schemes. We also have partnership with few crowdfunding. You know about it. So sometimes we manage along those lines. And so it is, I know this is an expensive proposition, but this is how it is. But still, it is much, much more affordable than one you have to travel to US or Europe or somewhere else. And it is 1/3 to 1/4 or 1/5 of the cost abroad. So I also think that maybe over a period of time, there might be, as you grow in volumes and numbers and the data gets better, as in any other cancer treatment, Even the bone marrow transplant now, the cost has come down, which used to be like ridiculously very high. And now the cost is become a little bit more affordable. So I hope that a little bit might be better, but at the moment, this is the cost in our center.
So it's not covered under Ayushman as of now.
As of now, not. We are hoping that maybe some of the which are clear-cut indications will get covered, maybe childhood cancer, that we have to work. And that I'm hoping for TMH to kickstart. And then we can work together. As I told you, we are already in very much close sync with them and, part of our own colleagues and friends.
So in Tata also, will it be only private or will there be like two categories of general and private?
I have not full knowledge because I have kind of been a little bit away, that we have to ask them. But I think if I may speak based on the experience, it will be like others only, I think, general private category, because it is like any other cancer treatment. And they may do some clinical studies also. So that is another feature. How much will be the exact cost for the NCC and private category? That, of course, they will have to decide, and they will have to look at the balance of everything given the population they have. So that time will tell, but I'm sure by the end of the year, they will have the model in place.
And Dr. Jalali, you were talking about people who can come from outstation to stay in Chennai, and that, you all help out. So can you give us some details about that?
Sure, because vast majority, I think 85 to 90% of our patients are actually outside Chennai. So fortunately, the facility is in Chennai, is in the city, but slightly outside on the outskirt. It is on what is called Old Mahabalipuram Road on the way to Pondicherry, or near the East Coast Road, not far from the coast, that sense. It is an IT sector. There's a Rajiv Salai Road. This is full of, I don't know whether I can show you. This is from my office. All these buildings are IT buildings.
No.
So that area is very nice. So there are 3 or 4 facilities for accommodation. One is we have touched base with a number of apartments within the radius of 4, 5, 7 kilometers or so, about 5 to 20 minutes drive only, and with catering to all the budgets. And we have a deal, with our special rates in Apollo. So we will be able to give them much discounted rates in those facilities, ranging from a modest to a moderate to even very high-end villas and stuff if somebody wants. That is one category, is the apartments and the private things. We also have partnership 2 or 3 hotels. The Holiday Inn is just across the street from our center, just 1-minute walk. You cross the street and there is Holiday Inn. So they also have a very attractive package, because for 5-6 weeks, much lesser than otherwise you would pay. Third facility is in our own hospital, on one of the floors, on the 8th floor. We have a number of rooms, which are like any other hospital room, where we can house the patients for as long as they want. Many times they stay entire. I have a child from Singapore at the moment. He is staying entire duration, going to be there only. And sometimes what they do is they stay for a month, for a week or 2. Because of the COVID also, they have to get the COVID test. Our hospital is a COVID green hospital so far. So there are full protocol has to be adhered to. And they stay for a few days there. And after that, if they want to cook their own, the only disadvantage is that they have to have the cafe from the hospital. But we have a very lovely cafe. You'll be surprised to know some of the families, I see them in the cafe. I say, your treatment is over. They say, no, we just came for a lunch or something because we love it so much. And it is all these smoothies and modern and this organic stuff and all that. So it's very nice and affordable also. So food they can enjoy on the 8th floor where, they can do, but they don't have cooking facility. While in the apartments, you can organize the cooking facilities. And fourth is that any part of the town who they know, we can organize the transport. We also have a concierge service available with a slightly additional cost, where we can receive the patients. All our international rates are slightly different than the Indian domestic rates. And there that concierge is included, where we receive the patient from the airport, organize transport wherever they are staying. It's like any other fantastic, international center. Irrespective of the socioeconomic status, we will cater to that. So that goes without saying. So, and the stay wise, not an issue. We have a full-fledged team who looks after only this aspect. So we will be happy to help in any
I know,
family.
Dr. Jalali, you have a meeting at 5:30, and I also know that if I keep asking you questions, you will never say no.
Yeah.
So, keeping that in mind, I must say again a big thank you. How many patients have been treated on proton therapy till now?
We are close to 300 patients. I mentioned in one of my slides.
Okay.
It's a first we had only 8 hours, as I told
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and only on one room. So it's actually a record. So many patients in a relatively short period time. And initially we had waiting time. So at any point of time, today we've treated 30 patients on the machine, which is quite a big number.
Good.
And but it will increase. We have the capacity to treat even more as the time goes by, and there's a learning curve also which we have overcome. So it's a fairly large, but it is not only the number, as I mentioned. Each cancer patient is
Absolutely.
unique. Each patient's success is critical for us, and we learn also whenever we have not succeeded. That's also a learning point. And as I mentioned, we are very conscious of academic front. So it's like any other university hospital with clinical meetings, with data presentations. We have a research secretariat, we have a social worker, we have a palliative care specialist. It's a comprehensive cancer center in that sense, not only proton, because cancer cannot be treated by one person, it has to be treated by everyone.
Yeah.
So it is with consciously, and that was the reason also I chose to come here, because you can create something beautiful in this space also. With your cooperation, maybe we can even make it better.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jalali. We are really grateful. I think it was one of the most informative sessions because there's so much learning, such a new technique. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you, all of you. My best wishes and continue the good work, Vandana.
Thank
My
you.
compliments.
Thanks.
Thank you.